So LiveRail, right? Tell me about it. Let's just get it out of the way. What are you not going to be? What are you going to be? You were independent. You're not anymore. What does this mean for you guys?
First of all, a lot of positive things. True, we are not independent any longer, part of the Facebook organization. Yeah, definitely. I can, for now, speak mostly about what we're not going to be. So Facebook did not acquire LiveRail in order for us to be the technology that powers advertising on Facebook owned and operated properties. The mission is much more focused on third-party publishers, which means that LiveRail can continue and focus on the business that it did before the acquisition.
So let's talk about Europe, because I think that's kind of the most interesting part, right? I mean, Facebook is unique in that we were discussing beforehand, if you look at the social platforms where there's a ton of video viewing occurring, you know, how to monetize them, are they going to be separate sandboxes, sort of, you know, publishers, will they be able to aggregate and actually activate revenue? There's some like dirty things happening though, and I think being part of a larger organization as a partner now, you're going to be able to address those, like viewability. I've heard there's the 300 by 250 is a dirty word now, so I'd love to hear a little bit about that and how you guys now have a little bit more power to, a little more chutzpah to clean it up.
Yeah, so I call the 300 by 250 the porn of the advertising industry. Nobody wants to talk about it, everybody's doing it. And I think it ties a bit into the fraud aspect of it, and I can hopefully also provide the context of what I think can help. So, because I spoke about it earlier this week, I think one of the issues we have is that, you know, we see fraud and viewability as a kind of crime, right? And then we have some police. There are some successful police companies, you know, whether it's Double Verify, Integral Ad Science, and many others that are doing a great job. But overall, you cannot really solve crime with police. You can fight crime with police. You really want to solve crime with prosperity. And I think in our industry, prosperity is making producers of quality content much more powerful, much more scalable, so they can actually address marketers' needs. Because otherwise, the money goes somewhere else, right? If a void is being created, then the money will go to areas that are a bit more shady, and this is part of the problem. So I think what really we know that publishers need is better ways to monetize inventory. We know that they need better value behind their content. We've seen in the display world how programmatic is really pressuring publishers to the point that when we came with a programmatic video solution, they were like, wait, I love video, but the context of programmatic for me, it just sounds really, really bad.
Right.
And then for us, it was always, let's focus on actually helping them raise this value. And I think we still didn't solve the problem. So I think one of the great things about that we can do as an industry, and I cannot talk too much about how Facebook is going to solve that, but in general, I really believe we should help publishers more. We know that what we've seen over the last 18 months, you know, with the release of Nielsen OCR and many other great products that are actually helping buyers make sure they're hitting the right audience, we equally need to help the sellers actually sell the right audience.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
So really what I'm looking for is how can we all focus, and it doesn't have to be Facebook, it doesn't have to be LiveRail, how can we focus on helping third-party publishers do a better job in addressing these specific needs?
Agreed. I mean, so I think it's interesting, right? Because I think reading between the lines, one of the challenges that we have is that there is a misconception that programmatic is a race to the bottom, right? Yeah. So how does that play into, you now I think Facebook's sort of acquisition of LiveRail is wonderful because all of a sudden it takes a platform that on which it was really hard for publishers to activate revenue, but where it was table stakes, they had to be, right? But there was no sort of line of sight to monetization. With you guys there, it kind of brings that opportunity to the table. But how do we then, to your point of in totality across the ecosystem, what's the tipping point that really connects the disparate platforms, because it's audience aggregation that moves the needle on revenue. And we take 5 steps forward and 3 steps back as an industry. So how do we get there?
Yeah, I think it's always been about currencies and creating currencies that everybody's comfortable with. I think the people maybe are trying to focus too much on one single currency. They maybe focus too much about whether it's either Nielsen or comScore need to win. No, I think we need on the buy side a few players that are acceptable and people can measure according to and people will be paid according to. The same way we need publishers to have the same type of currencies that they can use, so they know that they can be paid for the content they produce. I think this is the first thing, that everybody is measuring it in a similar way, but it doesn't really mean a single solution. I think usually we're trying to think of, let's find somebody that will buy everybody, clear the map, and then we will have just one solution, everybody will be happy. No, we just need to we cannot have 100 players, we all know that. We know that 100 players is too much,
right.
But I think having 5, 6 that are trustworthy, that are helping not only their owned and operated, but also help other that bring either innovative content or just any innovative experience from a consumption perspective, really raise enough so they can sell effectively, that's good enough. That will still create a vibrant enough industry. We don't need vibrant industry in terms of the ad technology ecosystem. We need a vibrant industry in terms of consumer products.
Right.
So we like media consumer products so that consumers feel, oh, this is something new, I want to consume it. The guys that are doing it can easily make money without this as being, being just too complicated. To the issue of programmatic and pricing, I really think with video is different. I really hear less and less concerns about how video is actually pressuring price, and we just have more. In the beginning, I was looking for one case study of a publisher that will manage to exceed the direct sold prices using programmatic video. Today, I have scores of these cases. It's more about finding the right monetization strategy. It's not about telling them, don't worry, it's not going to reduce prices. Our first message to premium publishers is, tell me what's your direct sold CPM. This is where you should start with the floor for programmatic and just go higher from there.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's a great conversation to have. So one sentence, one thing, or just one word, if there's one problem for publishers that you could solve today, whether it's unification of their ad stack, it's simplification, or it's one ad server that works across it. Like, what's one thing that you think would have the biggest meaningful impact as far as changing the momentum and trajectory for publishers today?
Using the audience data that buyers want to pay according to.